In this video, I will look at the exam objective Protected Admin. Protected Admin protects the computer from malware and potentially damaging software. If you have studied for the Windows 7 exam, you have probably come across User Account Control. User Account Control protects your computer by having two SIDs for each administrator account, one for the user and one for the administrator. If you see the term Protected Admin, this is referring to User Account Control being used to protect the administrator's account. User Account Control was first added to Windows in Windows Vista and Windows Server 2008. On any computer system, even one used by a domain administrator, the privileges that are given to any administrator are only used for a small amount of the time. The other times, these privileges are not required. To illustrate this, imagine what happens when a setting is changed on the computer. As shown here, the administrator opens the control panel and then selects Clock, Language and Region. They next select the option Date and Time. Notice the button Change Date and Time has a shield icon. This indicates that when this button is pressed, additional rights or privileges are required. In previous versions of Windows, pressing this button would prompt the user to confirm that this is what they wanted. In more recent editions like Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2, the number of these prompts has been reduced. If you install the latest service pack for Windows Vista and Windows Server 2008, you will find that the number of prompts has been reduced. If I now press the button Change Date and Time, this will automatically confirm that I want to use additional rights and privileges in order to change the date and time on this computer. If I were to change the date and time here, until I press OK, the additional rights and privileges have not been used. In other words, until the change is made to the date and time, I don't require any additional access. In computer terms, these additional rights and privileges were needed for milliseconds. Significantly more time was needed to locate the settings and decide what changes were required. You can see that even for a person whose job is a full-time network administrator, the amount of real time these additional administrator rights are required is very small. In most cases, opening dialogues in Windows require user rights only. This is why there is a need to protect the admin account. What you want is the admin account to run with user rights and only use additional rights when required. If the admin account was to run with full administrator rights all the time, this creates an opportunity for malware and other software to use the administrator account to do damage. To summarize what I have looked at, User Account Control uses two SIDs for users with administrator access. The first is a user SID, and the second is an administrator SID. For normal activity, the user SID is used. This prevents malware and other damaging software from installing itself on the computer. When administrator action is required, Windows will change to the administrator SID. This is usually indicated by a shield icon next to the button. This helps protect the computer from unwanted software using administrator rights. In Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2, this is, in most cases, a pretty seamless process. In the original Windows Vista and Windows Server 2008, a lot of extra confirmation dialogues were given to the user when switching between the user and administrator SID. In Windows Server 2008 R2, in most cases when logged in as an administrator, you will have all the rights you need and Windows will handle the switching between the SIDs as required. If you ever need to ensure that software is run as an administrator, as shown here, right-click the application, in this case the command prompt, and select the option Run as Administrator. This will ensure that the command prompt is launched with administrator access. On a client operating system like Windows 7, you will need to do this, but on Windows Server 2008 R2, the command prompt should open by default with administrator rights, and you will not need to do this. Lastly, remember that an administrator account that is using UAC may be referred to as Protected Admin. That's it for the Exam Objective Protected Admin. In the next video, I will look at Managed Service Accounts in Active Directory. When you run software in your company, you may, for security reasons, want to run software as a specific user. This is common for software like Exchange, where you want to isolate Exchange so that it only runs under the one user. The next video looks at how to manage these service accounts and how you can use them in your company. As always, thanks for watching.